Funny about that. You know who was asking about you the other day? Who's that? Nobody.
We talking about sports, get ball.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
What it do, you number one podcast listeners? It's that time again. The annual edition. Football is Dead is here. Earlier than ever. But my pain is your number one podcast listening pleasure. So buckle up, number one podcast listeners. It's about to be a good one. This episode, I'm joined. It was only right to be joined by my cousin, Sunny Bhatt, who's a fellow Cowboys fan, unfortunately. But we're going to commiserate together. And stay tuned for a GM pact you played yourself. I don't need to warn you. You know how these Football is Dead go. This is the 6th edition. Nothing new here, baby. What up, Sonny?
What's up, Brad? What's up, number one podcast listeners? Happy to make my return. And, you know, like Prem said, our misery is yours pleasure. So
it happens every year. You knew it was inevitable. I had a few people asking me, is football dead yet? And you said, you know what? Not yet. And a little interview sealed the deal. So more later, but you number one podcast listeners, you're in for a treat. But without further ado, let's get started on Yeah Fam or Nah before we get to the main event. Sonny, first up, Yeah Fam or Nah. The big news of college football was Dan Lanning's Oregon Ducks beat our beloved Ohio State Buckeyes by 1 point in Eugene, Oregon last week. Coach Lanning admitted to this. He used a loophole and purposely put 12 players on the field in a crucial end of game play following a timeout so that the Buckeyes would run a play. Time would tick off the clock. They would accept a penalty, but the clock ticking away still counts. Now, he knew the workaround in the rule and did it anyway. He admitted to it. The NCAA has since acted quickly and changed the rule. They've made it so that if there are 12 men on the field in that late game scenario, the opposing team can have the clock reset. So what happened to Ohio State is, I believe there were 10 seconds left and it ticked down to like six seconds after a 12-person on the field penalty. The time at that point was way more important than the 5 yards that they gained from the penalty. So
yeah.
NCAA changed the rule. That's how much of a loophole it was. They were probably scared other teams would do it. My question to you, Sonny, and the question going across college football news is, yeah, fam or nah, to fudging the rules. Now, famously, I think the New England Patriots used to do something like this. There used to be like a way to fake call a timeout. I think there's an infamous play with Mike Vrabel as a Patriots player doing it, and the NFL changed the rule the week after. Yeah, fam or nah, to fudging the rules. Is it, hey, he found the workaround, so it's cool. Everybody else should have been doing it, or not? Like, come on, integrity of the game. What you got, Sonny?
Yeah, so you might not like my answer given the outcome of that game. You know, it hurt all of us here in the Bot fam, but I do have to be a yeah fam. I do, and my word or my phrase would be, you know, just game awareness, situational awareness. You know, they didn't necessarily, you know, they didn't break a rule, they didn't cheat. You know, it was just a little loophole. You know, and good teams, good coaches, you know, they know those rules, they know how to navigate it. You mentioned Bill and the Patriots is a perfect example of that, but yeah, I mean, it's not great. You know, I know a lot of people are not going to like it. We don't like it, but
no.
You know, it's smart at the end of the day, you know, take out the fandom and just kind of look at it from a football and like a outside perspective. It's just smart. It's just smart. So unfortunately, I'm a yeah fan. I hate it. I hate it at our expense, but
yeah. You know, I'm not naive to think that's the reason Ohio State lost the game. That was hardly the issue in that game in Eugene. There's more to talk about there. We're going to wait for the season to play out, but there are a lot of issues on that Ohio State team. Top of the list being defensive performance in big games. This shit always seems to happen to Ohio State in the Ryan Day era. He has a great record, but it always seems like in the biggest games, they fall just short, and it's starting to become a trend. And you don't need to remind me of trends over time. because of this team we're going to rant about later.
Who?
That being said, in this particular example, I'm just taking the teams out of it because, Oregon won fair and square. Let's set that apart. I get your point there, Sonny, but I'm a nod of this because if we're going to talk about integrity, character, all that stuff, you want to find a loophole to win instead of just like winning. Your team outperformed Ohio State, and you want that to be the conversation piece. Could have won fair and, it was still winning fair and square, but it could have been all about Oregon's performance. Instead, it's a rule change because you tried to find a loophole. It kind of is like, if I had to put a word association or phrase association, Dan Lanning's kind of like the type of person who wouldn't put his cart back in the corral after going grocery shopping. That's what, he's like got that kind of energy, yeah. Just leave it in the parking spot, make it not parkable for the next person. I just think it's kind of like Bush League, like he knew what he was doing, sure, but why do you need to do that? So that's what but I get it. Like, he found the loophole. It was what it was. He did that shit on purpose. Whatever. It worked for him. They won the game. They won the game much before that penalty, but here we are talking about that. So
that's fair.
Anyway,
that's fair. I'll give you that.
Let's move over. A little quick recap to this sport allegedly called baseball. You and I and our family don't know what to do with ourselves. We're used to having deep runs into the postseason, and our team playing deep in October. So this one's weird for us. Since the Stros are out of it, go Stros.
Look, I stay petty, so I don't have to get petty.
But MLB playoffs, the ALCS has already wrapped up. The Yankees defeated the Guardians in 5 games. The NLCS was between the Dodgers and the Mets. The Dodgers wrapped up the series in 6 games, 4-2. So I want to get your FM or nod to the MLB playoffs in general. I think I know the answer, so we can keep this quick. I'm going to say nah. This is a nightmare trash scenario. Any combination of these teams. The Mets were the lesser of 2 evils, but Yankees and Dodgers, absolute trash scenario. Can't stand either one of them. What do you got, Sonny?
Petty alert. Petty alert.
Yeah, you guessed correctly. I'm a big nah fan, and I got just a couple words. Buzz, buzz, bang, bang, go Stros.
Hell yeah.
Sound it.
Petty alert. Petty alert. Petty alert.
Sound the hose,
Sound it, baby.
Hose mad.
It is like you said. It's just like real quick on the MLB playoffs, and I'm gonna leave it. If it's Dodgers and Yankees, it's just like you said. It's the worst. It's the 2 most insufferable franchises. The fans. They have a damn near all-star team on both of these teams, so it's like, it's shitty. It's shitty that the Astros weren't a part of it, but that can be a whole nother thing, a whole nother time.
All-time easy path for the Yankees, by the way. So.
Oh my God! Talk about a cupcake.
Totally. All right. On that note, you know what time it is, number 1 podcast listeners. Let's hit that. You played yourself.
I'm petty as hell. And I'm super petty.
Here we
Petty Le Pew.
go.
All right, number 1 podcast listeners, here we are. The reason you tuned in, this has become an annual occurrence, sometimes more frequently than annually. We're on our 6th edition of Football is Dead for a reason, because it is dead. It might have been dead before the season, but the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, sure shut the coffin 6 feet under, unmarked grave. He's making sure there are no signs of life. Football is dead. And my You Played Yourself goes to Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, number 1 podcast listeners, before I absolutely lose my shit on this sorry-ass franchise, I'm going to start with the deal sealer for me. And this one's different than previous years. Everything had its moment, but this sealed it. And it's from this clip from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, a Dallas Cowboys radio station. The show is Sean and RJ. And I'm going to run this clip. It's a little long for you, number 1 podcast listeners, but I think it's imperative that we get context as you hear us lose our shit. Let's play that.
Jerry, 1970, a little different from this past off season in building the team we're talking about today, which there was a lot of criticism that you guys didn't add, didn't spend, and don't add and don't spend, and are not aggressive enough with some of the problems that are still haunting the Cowboys today that we see play out on the field. That's the point of talking about the offseason.
Oh, I remember those criticisms very well. Okay, so what?
Or are they playing out to be accurate?
What's your point? What's your point?
My point is, it seems like
Listen, let me tell you what I'll do. Let me tell you what I'll do about it. I will let us sit down and look at the decisions we've made over the last several years. Okay? I'll look at it. Now, if you think I'm interested on a damn phone call with you over a radio and sitting here and throwing all the good out with the dishwater, you have got to be smoking something over there this morning. I'm not. And I really don't, and I don't even want our listeners to listen to me, to talk about, this is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over all the reasons that I did something and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job.
Well, my job is to ask why.
A job, or I'll get somebody else to ask these questions, man.
Jerry, we're trying to figure out why the team is.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. You're not going to figure out what the team is doing right or wrong. If you are, or any 5 or 10 like you, you need to come to this meeting I'm going to today. There are 32 teams here. You're geniuses.
Jerry,
okay. Y'all really think you're going to sit here with a microphone and tell me all of the things that I've done wrong and without going over the rights?
Well,
now, listen, we both know we're talking to a lot of great fans and a lot of great listeners, and I am very sorry for what happened out there Sunday. I'm sick about what happened Sunday. Now, I'm not
okay, number one podcast listeners, I'm going to try to keep it fucking composed when I talk about this sorry-ass excuse for an owner and GM, Jerry Jones. This is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over all the reasons I did something, and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job. I'll get somebody else to ask those questions. I'm not kidding. You really think you're going to sit here with the microphone and tell me all the things that I've done wrong without going over the right? That in itself is a quote. You might as well tag that for Prem Brulee, baby. Hell fucking yeah, we are going to.
Jesus Christ.
Sonny, first I read the quote because the news traveled quick. Next, I heard a short clip. Then I heard this expanded clip the day this interview happened. With each step, this Jerry Jones seems worse. And then further context, you number one podcast listeners, then this man had the fucking gall to double down. In an interview with The Athletic's Diana Rossini, he said the following, quote, "I don't know if I'll go as far as calling the volume connotation as yelling, okay? But the facts are that if I'm going to be grilled by the tribunal, I don't need it to be by the guys I'm paying. I can take it from the fans and take it from other people.
You sure about that?
I take a lot of pride in how fair and how much I try to work with the media. We're brothers and sisters, but I was a little frustrated there today. We got in there as of accounting for decisions made in the offseason, okay? They might as well have gone back to decisions made in 2010. My point is, and that's from my perspective, there's no question. I'm sure that they would have liked to have grilled me like the fans are thinking, what are you going to do about it? I get it. I get all that. And really, we'll go along with it.
You sure about that?
He continued, the wrong ones were doing the questioning. Now, if those had been real fans sitting there, or there had been people that knew what they were talking about, football people, I might have had a different reaction.
You sure about that?
End quote.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, Sonny, I'm going to take a quick breath.
Please.
Jerry, you want to talk to motherfucking fans? I assure you, you do not want to talk to real fans. If your definition of real fans is season ticket holders who blow smoke up your ass, maybe that is who you want to talk about, but there are less and less of those people every fucking day thanks to you. In fact, Jerry, please come on here and hear from real fans. You might cry your eyes out from what you hear from us. And the difference is you can't take our jobs because you're not our fucking boss. We deal with the losses without the oblivious disregard to others in our lives like you do. And without the billions of fucking dollars that you only seem to care about because you're goddamn sure it's not the football. You can't tell me this guy cares about football because he's going to blow smoke. He's going to gaslight the fuck out of us every year telling us this team's good and ready to win a Super Bowl. And then act totally surprised when his roster, which is full of jack shit, doesn't do anything. Oh, God forbid I'm the one guy surprised that this roster isn't good enough. Every fucking Joe Schmo behind a keyboard knew this roster wasn't good enough. From the most mundane person with the most basic level of football to the former player who works for a sports network, they all knew this roster wasn't good enough. But you, the supposed fucking genius, was the one person who tried to tell us that this team will be better. We needed to play more young guys. There were really good pieces. If there were really good pieces, maybe they should have played fucking last year if they were that good. This guy. Oh, and let me backtrack here. What the fuck is a favorable question at this point? What? What could we possibly ask you that is favorable about this team? The only thing I can think of are questions about Brandon Aubrey. He's the best kicker in the NFL. That is the only fucking highlight of this team. What could you possibly get for a favorable question that you're looking for from these radio hosts who, by the way, were doing their fucking job asking you questions? That's what the people want to hear. We don't want to hear you answer fluff-ass, stupid-ass questions. We're not stupid. This guy time and time again tries to prove why he's smarter than all of us, yet all his actions do is prove that he doesn't know fucking football. He wants to rest on the laurels of the 90s, a team that he didn't build, but God forbid someone else get credit for a job he didn't fucking do. So he's gone on this crusade for 30 fucking years to try to prove he can do something with no fucking success to speak of. This guy doesn't have a lick of success since the 90s because of a team Jimmy Johnson built, and I know that irks the shit out of this guy so much so that he waited forever to induct him into the Ring of Honor. That's how fucking small this man is. And then this fucking guy with all the power in the world, all the money in the world, chooses to threaten radio hosts with their jobs. What a huge piece of shit. Talk about insecure. What a damning loud microcosm of the Cowboys franchise's ineptitude for decades. This guy, left and right, has tried to take credit for successes and failures. There is not a single team in any franchise like this where the owner tries to ride the high of a win and have people praise him, and this guy act like he's the reason they win or lose in the team he assembles, like he is our gift to sports, the sports world. There's no fucking team like this where we have to hear from an owner after we lose, and we have to hear from him when we win like he was the reason they did. But all throughout all these decades of ineptitude, Jerry Jones has been notorious for gaslighting us. He has the audacity to act surprised at a team underperforming when he solely was the reason they did nothing to improve the roster. Like, this guy is the one guy surprised as if he wasn't the one in charge of making the decisions. Because even worse, if it's not gaslighting, if he's not trying to trick us into thinking differently, and some of these Cowboy fans are gullible enough to feel it, if he's not trying to trick us, then he's just fucking bad at his job. And I'm starting to think it's a little bit of both. Not starting, the worst exaggeration I've had all day. Been thinking it. All throughout these decades that we've been fans in our life, Sonny. Still, Jerry Jones has never done this. Never gotten testy on an interview to the point of threatening a person's job. And that tells you just how bad things are. The fucking audacity for someone with power to use that as a threat on someone beneath them tells you everything you need to know about his character. To threaten people's jobs when you actually have the power to take it away is truly, truly sinister. And we're starting to realize that this sinister owner has all of us fans in a fucking hell for decades and decades. And I've said this, and I'm really starting not to believe it's not hyperbole. I don't think this franchise will ever win. There is something about it, and it starts at the top. This guy wants to be the reason they win, and he thinks he's the reason this team's success happens, but then doesn't want to take the blame when they don't, and acts like he had nothing to do with it when they don't. I told you last episode that Dak clip. Jump off the bandwagon if you want to. And sure enough, one fucking episode later, here we are, football is dead. And I just want to finish with this one before I give you a chance to have the floor, Sunny.
Mm-hmm.
This is from RJ Ochoa, who is a manager, editor for Blogging the Boys. He works for SB Nation, covers the Cowboys. Great follow if you want commiseration as a Cowboys fan.
I love RJ.
He said this on X. One of my biggest issues with the current Dallas Cowboys situation, to use that word lightly, is that every turn of it is so chaotic in that it is a direct result of how the front office went about things. It's one thing that they did nothing legitimate to help this team compete, but it's another thing that they so comfortably, almost intentionally, created an environment of dysfunction and challenged a team that they refused to help to thrive in it. What a fantastic summary for how we are all feeling. I am so sick of this fucking franchise, man. I am tired. I'm tired of finding new ways to be mad at them. Just when you think there isn't something new, Jerry Jones finds a fucking way. We told you time and time again, they did nothing to improve this roster. And they want to blame it anytime they pay players. They're going to place blame on, well, we had to pay Dak. There's no other fucking team that does this. There's no other team that complains about players being good enough to get paid and then uses it as an excuse for their team to suffer. But this has been cyclical. It's happened every fucking time Jerry Jones pays someone. He tries to warn you, oh, the team, that person's going to have to earn his money because the team's not going to be as good around it. Trying to guilt trip these players to take less somehow. I don't know what his angle is. But he's working in the same fucking salary cap as every other team. And there's only one owner that acts like this. Again, I ask the press to stop putting fucking microphones in this man's face. Then what will happen? What can he do if there's nobody to talk to? Please, let's all band together and not hear from this sorry-ass excuse for an owner and GM. I am so over it. To fucking threaten someone, man, what a small human being. There were timeless examples of it, but never one plain as day. Unbelievable. Unbelievable the state of this franchise. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. If you try to give me a silver lining about this team, there isn't one. Because Jerry Jones shuts that light at the end of the tunnel down. He has a way of totally sticking his stupid ass face through it, and he wants that light at the end of the tunnel to be a microphone in his face, because God forbid anybody stop talking about his franchise, because that fucking translates to wins, doesn't it? Oh, it doesn't? Not for 30 fucking years? Who would have fucking thought? Except every team that has fucking won a championship. Every team, every franchise in any major sport who has won a championship hasn't had a fucking blowhard in front of a mic every time trying to take credit for not being on the field doing it. There is not a single fucking competent team built like this. And there will never be success for the Dallas Cowboys as long as Jerry Jones is in charge. This man loves the sound of his own voice more than he loves winning. And it'll never be more important to him to win than it is for him to be on the mind of everybody in the public. That is worth championships to him. You'll never convince me otherwise. This man does not care about winning. He cares about the bottom line. And the quicker you Dallas Cowboys fans who are somehow still delusional figure that out, the quicker maybe things will change. I don't buy that, but at least we can all start to turn the tide of these people who are uninformed thinking us Dallas Cowboys fans are delusional. I haven't met one recently. Sonny, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You guys got to quit fucking acting like we think there's always next year. I don't know a single Cowboys fan like that, and we sure as hell aren't there right now. So, sincerely, fuck off, Jerry Jones. And again, I invite you, if you want to hear from real fans, Me and Sunny are two of them right here. I would love to have Jerry Jones on, but I promise you that very, very real and very understandable question from your radio station will be just the fucking tip of the iceberg for you, Jerry. Oh boy, would you hate that thought? You have no idea what the fans think of you. You are so stuck in your ivory tower of delusion that you have no fucking clue how much people hate the state of the franchise you control and hate how you operate things. We truly despise you as a GM. Truly. If there was one change I could make to the Dallas Cowboys, it would be Jerry Jones not being GM. Of all the personnel moves, you can give me any player, coach, anything from the history of the NFL. I wouldn't choose any one of them. I would ask that the football gods remove Jerry Jones as GM. That would be my one desired football move. Of all things, that is my greatest NFL football hope, is that Jerry Jones not be the GM of the Cowboys. Sure, he can still earn money, but be like the rest of the fucking owners and stop getting in front of a fucking mic so we have to hear your stupid ass reasoning and gaslighting of fans. We are so over this fucking guy. And rant. Sunny, your floor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bravo, brother. Bravo. Geez, I don't even know where to start after that. That was fantastic, but I'll start with like what you just ended with. You know, he does not want to talk to fans. He, like you said earlier, he would literally cry if we asked him questions. You know, there's so many layers to this, Prem, about this whole week or last 2 weeks about it. You know, Jerry's always been in the media, right? Obviously. It's the whole point of this. But he's never, you know, I live here in Dallas. I listen to 105.3 The Fan, you know, pretty much every morning on my way to work. And I will say they have always been fair. You know, they're not riding hard for the home team and you know, just all sunshines and rainbow. They haven't been super critical. They play it really well. Especially Sean and Andre. I listen to them probably, again, like I said, every morning. I've never heard, and like all the other Cowboys writers that come on there and that they've talked to, they themselves have even said, Jerry's never lashed out like this, you know?
Yeah.
And if he, you know, if he even does get angry or raises his voice, he always immediately calls them, blah, 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 and apologizes, right? So we'll start there. You know, that's the first part of this, is that he completely blew up. He completely doubled down on this, and he and just said, yeah, that's what I said, and I said it. So, you know, now what?
Yeah.
And that's just a perfect summary of how bad it is right now, man. Like, if he's crashing out the way he is publicly and you know, standing by it and not doing what he normally does and backtracks and be the, you know, media darling that he wants to be, that's saying a lot in itself. You know, take away everything else, that alone is just like, damn, okay, he's just publicly crashing out now. And it's funny he's crashing out because the only person he has to blame about what the Cowboys are doing is himself. You can blame players, you can blame coaches. Yep. We can get there later as well, but it starts at the top. You know, these same players haven't been here for 30 years. These same coaches haven't been here for 30 years. There's been one constant these last 30 years. Literally my whole life. I'm 30 years old. Literally my whole life. There's been one constant, and it's been Jerry. It's simply just been Jerry. He said, what was his quote before all this? When he was asked about being GM, there's nobody that can fucking do it better than me when it comes to contracts and acquiring players. That literally what he said with a smirk on his face.
Literally everybody can do it better.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's just, the delusion is just mind-boggling to me. Like, how he sees, you know, when something good happens, he'll be the first one to say, yeah, that's what we did. We went and brought this player in. We went and did this. We went and did that. We won 8 in a row at home last year. He'll always take that and boost it. But then as soon as someone or even something happens negatively, well, you know, for example, I'll use the most recent one. Dak just got paid, so it's on him. He needs to be better. Oh, a couple years ago, Zeke, it used to be our bell cow. We just paid him the highest contract as for a running back. You know, and it goes on and on and on. Like, it's never him. You know, it's literally just never his fault when things go wrong or bad. You know, long-term, short-term. It's just that delusion. Like you said, he could just be gaslighting us and he knows and he just doesn't care. or he really believes he's doing what he can, and that is clear signs of CTE, in my opinion. So it's just like, I'm angry, yeah, but at the same time, I like this year, bro, like the first time in probably ever that I started watching football for real, that I just turned games off. After week 1 in Cleveland, even during week 1 in Cleveland, like, yeah, we won, it looked good, whatever. But this year is the first year I truly just like, you know what, fuck that. I flip back to red zone. Yeah. Past years, I'd always watch it. I'd always tune back in. I'd say, okay, what's going on now? Oh, okay, they're coming back. Maybe let's watch. Back in. Right. Or they go on that 2, 3, 4 game win streak. Like, okay, shit. Okay, here we go. Maybe they finally got it, right?
Spoiler alert.
And it's spoiler alert. They did not.
So congratulations, you played.
But this year's just been like, just done. I'm over it. You know, every issue that the Cowboys have right now can literally be word for word traced back to Jerry. End of the season last year in Green Bay. You know, defense was the main topic. D-line was the topic. Receivers was the topic. And all these O-line was the topic, right? Jerry, and he said the famous line that him and Stephen love, we like our guys. But then he added a layer at the beginning on saying, hey, we're going all in this offseason. We are going to do whatever it takes. Yeah, that we can start way back there. All in. Hashtag all in, baby.
All right.
He's like, we're going all in. We're gonna fix this. That Green Bay hurt, left a bad same shit he always says, right? But then what did he go and do? What was our? Can I ask you, what was our biggest offseason move this year? Yeah,
that was our answer.
Yeah,
good answer.
Yeah, good answer. But I'll give it one. Eric Kendricks, who, no disrespect to him, great player or good player, whatever. But that's his all in. Hey, we got a linebacker now, so everybody can just shut the hell up, right?
Yeah.
And we can break down. We're on Jay right now. We can break down the team later. That's a whole nother episode. But But again, it starts at the top. It starts with something that has not changed with all the player turnover and coaches turnover. Is him. It's literally just him. He has this idea that he's doing it right. And even when I'm gonna keep it all the way real, right? He bought the team in 88, 89, won those 3 Super Bowls. Those teams were high key just there for him, right? Jimmy Johnson, we know what he's done for us. He walked in and bought the team, whatever, and he still hangs his head on that. I bought the team, and look at what we did. We have 3 Super Bowls in my ownership. Like, not a lot of owners can say that. Yeah, brother, that was fucking 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even what have you done for me lately. Like, it's not even that. It's just what have you done for me. Period. Right. It's nothing. There's a whole generation now going on too that have the same exact questions, the same exact issues, and the same exact problems. Sure, some of it lands on the players, but it's the culture there. It's simply just the culture there. We can take it back again in the preseason or off season where the writers were asking him, they're like, hey, training camp numbers, attendance is low this year. You know, there's not a lot of people here and excitement and buzz around Oxnard down in Cali. You know, what's going on? Is it because, the lack of whatever? He's like, no, actually I'd be, he literally sounds like Donald Trump, bro. He was like, we have very good numbers. We have the best numbers of training camp. And then right after that, you know what he brought up? Nothing on the field, nothing with the players. He was like, oh, by the way, our season ticket renewal membership has gone up this year. So that's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about at all. And then the second part of it, I say it every year, his fucking Super Bowl that comes out in July. He made the top 1 in the Forbes list as most lucrative franchise. And that's it. That's all. And he brought that up too. Steven brought that up too. That, oh yeah, we're the most profitable franchise in all of major sports. So we're good, we're okay, we're fine. Yeah. That's their job. And as an owner, that is their job. That is his job. Let them make money, let them be marketing, do business, blah blah blah. But just it's not football. It's not football related. You claim you're this football guy.
As a GM, he's just failing.
Right. And that's what I've always said. As an owner, fine. He's annoying, yeah, but as an owner I can tolerate him. But that's like 20% of what he does, and that other 80% is so loud and so the GM aspect, I'm saying, so loud, so like with all the bravado, and I'm doing the best. There's nobody that can do it better than me. Well, that it's literally just not true. It's like there's nothing there that you can say that I'm the best GM in this league. No, and you're 33rd in the league, honestly.
Yeah, 33rd.
It's tiring, bro. It's tiring. Like. Yeah. We can break it down even more, like you touched on it, like threatening your flagship station, threatening their one of the most popular radio shows in the city, and threatening them to take their jobs or replace them with a yes man or I whatever you want to call it. That's going to hand you these soft ass questions like, how you doing? What's going on? Like no fan that actually is there for football and that cares about football or sports. No fan is asking those questions. No fan cares about all the stuff Jerry's talking about. We care about, like you said, we deal with the losses. We deal with the wins. We deal with like all that bullshit you say. Everyone acts like we're saying it. But you know what I mean? And so threatening someone's job on that, that's just horrible in itself. It reflects, like you said, the person that he is when it comes down to it. When he, he's throwing a fit. He wants to just be in the news. That's him. He just wants to be relevant in that sense. He does not care about football. He just talks the talk. He does not care. As long as Cowboys are making money, as long as those seats are filled in Jerry World, he literally calls it Jerry World, another example.
Yep.
As long as all that's happening and people are buying this stuff and drinking his tea, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change. Yeah.
And it's sad, man. It's sad because we talked about it earlier. Like, we kind of came into this fandom with our dads, right? Or because of our dads, I should say, because they watched it in the 80s, 90s, whatever. And that's when we were growing up. But we can't even blame them because they had it. They were winning. They had a great time. You know what I mean?
Success. They experienced success. Yeah.
So they're like, let's be Cowboy fans and shit. But
our young dumbasses.
Congratulations.
We said, like it sucks, man, and we're not going to see real change. Like he himself has said, "I'm here till I die." And the even scarier part, the cherry on top of this shit cupcake, is Steven might be worse. Steven truly might be worse. And that's scary. He's the one that's always talking about money. He's the one now that's saying, oh, we couldn't afford Derrick Henry. Really? You couldn't afford $8 million, but you wanted to pay Tony Pollard $6.5? What? Like, okay.
Legitimately a MVP frontrunner, by the way.
Correct, and on pace to shatter one of his rushing records. Like, it's just the ineptitude to, I guess, put it in one word is, it's sick, dude. It's sick, and I'm tired of it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say or do about it. Because again, we can go, like you said, go NFL history and pick a player, pick up players, and bring them to this team. I have no confidence that we'd win. You can go give me 2012 Tom Brady with fucking Walter Payton behind him and the Great Wall, whatever. Yeah. I truly don't think winning is gonna, like, real winning is success, in postseason.
We talked about this. You were on in the postseason. There's something in the air, man. I don't know how to explain it. It permeates that place. It is impossible to escape.
And I'm not gonna lie, last year, when Jerry finally put Jimmy in the Ring of Honor, we talked about that too. Like, hey, maybe that curse, maybe that voodoo is gone. Maybe he kind of did right for all the success he had in the 90s. He did right by his guy. Maybe finally that karma can shift a little bit, at least a little bit, right? What happened? Wild card, we got dog walked out of that stadium. So it's just the same shit. And what did Jerry say after that? Yeah, I'm confident. Some things didn't go our way. Like, what? It was like 47 to whatever the fuck it was. It's past players at this point. It's past coaches at this point. It's, it says, leadership starts at the top. That's like the cliche sentence, right?
Yep.
And he's been the leader. He's unfortunately going to be our leader, and it's just not going to change. I don't think it's going to change. I don't know if you follow Tuck. He's a Cowboy personality on Twitter. Yeah. J Tuck. He kind of started a movement. Some fan went viral here at the Star that had a sign that said #fire the GM Jerry.
Petty, white.
Hey, are you calling me petty?
Yeah, you petty.
You petty.
Hello. Petty.
And then that kind of blew up on Cowboys Twitter, and then kind of took it and ran with it. And fans, I think fans are finally finally, keyword, saying something and kind of putting their voice out. Those questions that Sean and RJ asked, very valid, but they asked those because, you know, those rumblings are kind of becoming louder and louder, you know?
Yeah.
In a great way. In a great way. So, like you said, we keep talking, we keep saying this, that, and the third. Like, maybe something comes of it. Do I think so? No. But, you know, no. I hope that Fire the GM goes viral. It already has, and, you know, people are... So that's really all I can hang my hat on right now, brother. Like, we can talk about Dak, we can talk about the defense, we can talk about all that another time, and I'm sure we will in a couple weeks here when we lose to the Niners, the Texans, the Eagles.
Oh, yeah. Name it.
This is really just part one. This is just Jerry.
There's plenty of football issues, but I think it says a lot that you and I have both turned off games.
Yeah.
You're talking about two diehard fans, and we both decided, you know, we refuse to be surprised by the inevitable. You tried to gaslight us about this team. We knew better. A lot of fans know better. I talk about this all the time. These athletes, I have in no doubt questioned their knowledge and their abilities. But this notion that so many fall into the trap about, that we don't know what we're talking about, or we can't see with our own eyes, like you're so much fucking smarter than us,
right?
Is so stupid.
It's played out.
It's like, it's just flat out wrong. There's so many smart people out there who know what they're talking about. And sure, a lot of us just complain. But in the complaints, there is some truth. And we know what we're fucking watching. And we know when you're trying to bullshit us. Like, we can see past it. And this fucking franchise does this left and right. Now, I do want to say... special shout out to Dak. You got engaged. At least somebody's getting a ring in Dallas.
Hey-o.
Yeah. So, you know, here we are.
Hey, what are you talking about? We have the Dallas Desperados, Arena Football Champs of 23.
Oh yeah.
Put some respect on our city, bro.
Yeah. There you go.
There's real football being played. Jesus.
Anyway, yeah, I think it says a lot about how we didn't really have hope to begin with. You know, I joked. People kept asking me about when football's dead. It's like, you kind of start off dead, so how can you get more dead? Well, this is how, Jerry.
Teddy alert! Teddy alert! Teddy alert!
I've been real quick. I've been, like you see, you kind of let off with this in the beginning of the episode. You know, my friends, they usually text me or call me to, like, you know, cap on me and make fun of me when the Cowboys lose.
Yeah.
Now it's literally just like, hey man, you good? And I'm like, bro, I'm great. Like you know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I've accepted my peace,
man.
Like, and that says a lot though, because, you know, friends like to rag on each other. Now it's just like, hey man, you all right?
In terms of fanhood, we're dead in the eyes. Like,
facts.
You know, watching football, purely, nothing there. We're just watching blankly, waiting for something to go wrong.
We have to calm down now, brother.
Yeah, you know, we'll calm down, return to a healthy place. And speaking of that, one episode later, football's dead. But also, one episode later, I'm further into my streak of taking Magic Mind, Sunny.
Okay.
I know I haven't had you on in a while, but the whole fam is on game with Magic Mind at this point.
Yeah.
The group chat. I've obviously talked about it before. Last time, you number one podcast listeners and I talked, I think I was on day 5 of taking Magic Mind. I took it 2 weeks in a row in the morning as part of my routine. Last episode, I told you after 5 days, I felt a difference. After 2 weeks, incredible. Their Magic Mind's clean ingredients can take a few days to take into effect. So by day 5, I was starting to feel it, but really by 2 weeks, it fully kicked in. You know, it helps me manage the ups and downs of solely relying on caffeine. There's not the jitters. There's no like lulls in productivity. Obviously, your nephews, you know, my boys, they require my attention even when I'm not at work.
Yep.
Doing this podcast for you number one podcast listeners. Magic Mind helps me stay focused, mentally clear, motivated, and productive, and keeps the stress levels down. Despite, I know it's rich coming for me after that Cowboys rant, but Magic Mind does that with the mushroom nootropics and adaptogens, and then it has 100% of daily vitamin C and D per little shot, so helps you feel good. something's ailing you, you feel like you're doing good for your body. Number one podcast listeners, you already know I wouldn't recommend something I didn't use or trust myself. I've referred family to it. They've bought some. My parents use it, the whole nine. And I think what's so effective about it is that it's not like a caffeine energy shot. It actually has a time release caffeine, Sunny. So sometimes I'll drink an energy drink or coffee. Those things don't actually give you energy. They just kind of stop your brain signals from telling your brain that you're tired. So obviously those wear out, and that's when you get the crash. So Magic Mind kind of goes around that. And I think they've done it because it's doctor validated. It was a formula created with a scientific advisory board of doctors and medical researchers. They took over 10 years to develop it and had over hundreds of iterations to perfect the formula. So it's tried and true. They got over 200 scientific studies behind every ingredient, and that's important for me in my day job. My background's in science, so that means a lot to me. So you already know. Sonny, you're on game already, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I need to be more consistent with it. I'm not going to lie to you, but
yeah,
I'm excited to actually try it for real. And
the challenge was a nice thing. So I recommend you number one podcast listeners do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you said, energy drinks, all that, they're great for like that whatever boost, but then that crash is rough. That crash is rough.
And they're so like sugary and stuff. You just know you're not having something super healthy for you. But anyway, number one podcast listeners, trust your boy. Get yourself some Magic Mind at magicmind.com/prembrulee20. That's right. Magic Mind, magicmind.com/prembrulee, the number 2, the number 0. When you pick out what you're getting, enter the code prembrulee20. That's PREMBRULEE 20, and you'll get up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase.
Wow.
Again, you number one podcast listeners, that link is slightly updated from before. So that's magicmind.com/prembrulee20. Enter the code prembrulee20 to get up to 48% off. I would get the 30 pack if I were you. It enables you to do that like 2-week challenge or longer. I've continued it after the 2 weeks because it's made me feel so good. But buying that 30 pack is what and also it's the best value and most convenient to grab and go. I just stick it in the side of my fridge, and it's easy to just grab one in the morning with your vitamins, your breakfast, or whatever.
Nice.
And those of you who are having trouble sleeping, I had this plug. Magic Mind added sleep shots that help you fall asleep and improve the quality of your sleep, so you can wake up refreshed. So check those out if you're interested in that. But again, magicmind.com/prembrulee20 and use the code prembrulee20. If you forget what I told you, it is in the episode description, so you can't miss it. Number one podcast listeners, I'm here for you.
I will take your challenge, Prem. Challenge accepted. Shout out to Magic Mind.
What it do, baby?
Somebody probably needs some clarity on how to act. Probably could use a 2-week supply of Magic Mind is Aaron Rodgers. You Played Yourself goes through Aaron Rodgers. This dude, after the Jets' previous loss, because they lost to the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, after trading for Aaron Rodgers' guy, Davante Adams. But in his previous loss, Aaron Rodgers called out Jets receiver Mike Williams for running the wrong route. This guy is a You Played Yourself Hall of Famer, but it always seems like he throws his own players under the bus. That felt like an easy behind closed doors conversation, and he could have kept it pushing instead of blaming someone else for that loss and throwing an interception. Just, it seems like a constant with Aaron Rodgers. Now, his Jets go and get his guy, Davante Adams, and they still lose to
Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
And the Steelers, big. And those Jets and Aaron Rodgers are running out of excuses now. They've fired a coach. They've traded for someone. We're really running out of excuses now. So You Played Yourself goes there. And Sunny, I do want to cover this. We're going to talk quickly in who you got about a quick little NBA preview before we get further into it on another episode. But You Played Yourself. goes to the NBA and their injuries. It's like we're already in midseason form, Sonny.
Man.
Kawhi Leonard out indefinitely due to inflammation in his knee. Sound our guy, man. Just for enjoying
What
it.
it do, baby? Yeah.
Paul George day-to-day with an nagging injury. Joel Embiid has already said he's probably not going to play any more back-to-backs so he can make it deep into the playoffs. We are so back, baby. Season has not even started, and we're already there.
It's ridiculous, brother. Like, I don't got much to add other than, like, what's going on? You know, like, Kawhi I'll never understand. Embiid already just giving up on back-to-backs. Like, what happened to the game we love, bro?
Here we are, man. What do you got and you played yourself, man?
I got one big one. I do have one request from you before I say it. I need you to sound that petty alert.
Petty alert. Petty alert. Petty alert.
But you know, you played yourself to the Texas Rangers. Good old little brother down here in Dallas. Right after that World Series win about a year ago, you know, we went from all this shit talking to them saying, start of the new dynasty, then there's a new Texas team in town, blah, 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 to how they follow that up from their World Series parade, third place. Not even second. Not even right behind. Not even a battle with us. It was third place to the who? The Seattle Mariners. Come on. That's just tough. You couldn't even get to the wild card. You couldn't even sniff the wild card after all that talk and all that. We're back. We're here. Like, come on, man. Like, act like you've been here before. I know you haven't. I know it's your first. Congrats, whatever. But like, don't get all bravado on us and say we're little brother now. Nah. Like, come on. Like, let's be a little serious, please.
Didn't even make a wild card. Yet, number one podcast listeners, if you're keeping track, that is 2 episodes in a row of Cowboys rants and 2 episoes in a row of calling out the Texas Rangers. So,
I have to keep it up a little bit.
Shout out Sunny. Yeah. Play that hose mad, baby.
Yes, right.
All right, Sonny. You know we like to wrap up. You played yourself on lighter notes, non-sports related.
Yeah. We need it today.
We do need it. I got a non-sports you played yourself. This got a lot of interactions on my Instagram story. Obviously, you can give me a follow in the description here. Nice little plug. But this got a lot of traction. It was interesting. People had so many opinions about it. But You Played Yourself goes to people who put on the toilet paper roll the wrong way when they replace it. Oh, my God. It is very important that we let you all know that the over is the right way. That toilet paper should be coming over the top. You should not have to dig underneath to pull out the toilet paper. We are looking for, what do they call it? Like a pompadour, not a mullet. We do not want the under. And what I noted from surveying people out there is there are a significant amount of people who don't care which way the toilet paper goes. I have news for you, don't care crowd. Your partner, your roommate, your friend, someone else, a guest that comes over to your place does care. So if you really don't care, how about you just stick with us and do the over? So You Played Yourself goes to the people that do the under or the people who don't care and are just trolling us that do care. So that's my non-sports You Played Yourself. Sonny, what do you got?
I love it. And yeah, that is correct. The over is the right way. I don't think I got taught that. Right. You know, it just happens. Like, who puts the toilet paper on? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, come on. But anyways, I got one, for my You Played Yourself. It's people that don't use turn signals when driving. You know, it might be a boomer moment for me, but I am 30 now, so fuck off, yo. But turn signals, man, like, I'm washed, bro. I'm cooked. But turn signals, if you're in the right lane and I'm waiting to get on the street and you're barreling down and then you suddenly just cut right and you're the only car, like, go to hell, bro. Like, just put your signal on so I can go. Like, it's not that hard. It's literally a flick of your wrist and that's it. Like, geez, it bothers me more than it probably should. But
learn how to drive or I'll get someone else to do your job. There's 10 or 15 people lined up to do that job.
I'll talk to real car drivers. And then real quick, I just want to sneak it in since you said it inspired me. Automatic hand faucets in public bathrooms. The ones that you wave your hand under and it's supposed to turn on and you wash your hands. Them motherfuckers last 3 seconds most of the time. And I'm like,
the worst.
Like, I just can't stand it. Like, if you're going to have that option, just let it run. Or just give us a little switch. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Jeez.
Or
It just
something.
irks me.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll flip it with like a timer at least like 10 seconds, bro. If you're not washing your hands, that's a whole other conversation. But if you're not washing your hands for, the happy birthday song, come on now.
Yeah, exactly. There's not even hand hygiene to it.
Be clean, you nasties.
I'm with you, man. All right, number one podcast listeners, let's switch over to Am I Hatin'? You already know this segment. We're going to say statements that are clearly hating, but it's a safe space anyway. A reminder, you number one podcast listeners, these sections and the non-sports you played yourselves, every part of this can get input from you. So if you ever feel the inclination to be featured on any one of our sections on the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee, please do. And reach out to us to either send in a recording, have us read something, or if you have a suggestion, we'd love to hear from you. So,
yeah.
Am I Hatin'? You got one? You want to go first, Sonny? For Am I Hatin', you got a candidate?
I do. And people that want to come up and say they got to go out, do whatever, they say, yeah, I'll record the basketball game and watch it later.
Oh, no. Hell no.
Like, you're going to record a live sporting event and then just watch it later? Like, like, come on, man. Like, you're not going to, number one. Number two, if you are a sports fan, you're going to get updates. You're going to hear somewhere or see something, especially nowadays with all the social media that everyone has. You're going to see something that you shouldn't.
I get, like, phone notifications.
Yeah, same. And I'm like, you're going to record a live game that's in real time and then watch it the next day or a couple hours later. Like, nah, man. Come on. Be for real.
Silly.
So silly.
You are not hating. That's absolutely correct take. All right. Am I hating on this one? Tell me. The 5 wide, aimless walk like you have nowhere to be.
Oh, my God.
Like, when you're on a walkway and there's, like, a whole family stretching the length of a walkway with not a care in the world. Full context, number one podcast listeners. My wife and I took our boys to the zoo. Our older boy loves the zoo. He loves animals. And maybe it's me being a Scrooge or something, but, like, the people that, they have no concept of people around them, and they're just covering the whole sidewalk. You're trying to zoom around them in sometimes narrow walkways, but like that awkward pace where you can't get around someone, and there's people coming the other direction. Dude, the social awareness on some people is at negative 1,000. That's my Am I Hating?
You are not hating at all. So, and I love that you use 5 wide.
Yeah.
That shit's so annoying. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Use social awareness.
Sonny, let's move on to who you got and what you feeling. We're going to do a quick NFL one, but then we're going to do, as promised, you number one podcast listeners, a quick little NBA preview before we go further into depth as the season starts and gets going. Since football is dead, we'll have plenty of time to talk basketball.
All right.
Okay. Sonny, who you got? Bigger trade impact, Devontae Adams to the Jets or Amari Cooper to the Bills? Full disclosure, number one podcast listeners, their first week with their new teams, it was pretty obvious who's more productive. That was one Amari Cooper who caught a touchdown pass compared to Devontae Adams, 3 catches for 30 yards. On a whopping 9 targets, it's not great. So, aside from that, just projecting rest of the season, who's going to have a bigger trade impact? Who you got, Sonny?
I got our old friend Coop to the Bills. I think that's going to matter more. I think the Jets are high-key cooked. I just don't think Rodgers is the same quarterback. I've said that before, and I've been very wrong, but this year I've seemed to, we got a couple games in, and he just doesn't look the same, he can't.
He got flushed out of the pocket, and he looks very, very slow. Like,
yes.
He wasn't like an athlete, but he looks like he has it would be like me trying to run.
Yeah, I don't think Devontae Adams is going to move the needle. They had Garrett Wilson, and I get the whole chemistry bullshit with him and Devontae. It might be different, but Garrett Wilson's a damn good player, a damn good receiver, and he just can't click. And as great as a quarterback he is, go Bucks alert. So I think overall Coop's just going to have a bigger impact. I think Bills are going to take that division. I think Josh Allen's a better quarterback right now. I think they're more built to win right now on both sides of the ball. So they were just missing that one guy that can go cut up in the middle of the field, and they got one of the best route runners. So I think that's going to be bigger for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think the Jets are probably cooked. I know I mentioned he got a touchdown pass. Amari Cooper had 4 catches for 66 yards in his opening game with Buffalo on 5 targets. So much better percentage of, receptions to targets, and he had a touchdown pass. So we'll see how it translates moving forward.
Imagine having a player like that on your team, huh?
Look, I stay petty, so I don't have to get petty.
And then trading him away for nothing. But remember, Jerry Jones is the best guy for this job. Nobody else could do.
Facts.
You sure about that?
Nobody can do this shit.
Anyway, just remember. Okay, Sonny, this is how I want to do our quick little NBA preview. I want to keep it to the point. We'll have plenty of time to talk details. I want to get who you got in the East and the West. Essentially a way too early pick for the finals. A MVP pick. A team or player or anything that's overrated. A team or player that's underrated. And then your biggest impact move from the offseason. Okay.
Let's do it.
First up, we'll go with who you got in the East and the West. Sonny, I'll let you kick off this one. Who you got?
Yeah, so in the West, I got the Dallas Mavericks. Yep. And in the East, unfortunately, I still got the Boston Celtics. Yeah. Don't like them, hate them, but they're too damn good.
They reloaded. Yeah, in the interest of being a little different, I did go with the Mavs too because they were pretty close, and I think they added a necessary piece in another shooter in Klay Thompson. I think it's a sneaky good move. And then, not my pick for under the radar or anything or underrated, but I went with the Bucks to try to be a little different in the East, assuming Giannis can stay healthy. So that's who I went with there. Who you got for MVP?
I got Jalen Brunson. I'm going to go a little off the wall here, and I'm going to go with Jalen Brunson of the New York Knickerbockers.
All right, the captain.
The captain. The Nova Knicks.
To go along with my pick in the West, I'm going to go with Luka. I think he takes the next step.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was trying to think of kind of dark horse picks, and he's never won before, but they got a really good team, so I'm going to go with Luka.
He should have won last year, to be honest.
All right, Sonny. Overrated team, who you got?
It's funny because you just mentioned them earlier, but for me, the most overrated team is the Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks. Right. I just think aging core, their biggest addition was Taurean Prince. Middleton's knees are made of brisket, so I just think they're overrated. I think they missed their window, to be honest, as great as Giannis is and Lillard.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. It really does. Giannis has gotten hurt in the playoffs, so I do kind of wonder if he preserves some of his health down the stretch, because it feels like he runs out of steam in the playoffs the last couple years. So we'll see on that. My overrated is going to surprise because it's not like I think they're going to miss the playoffs or anything, and I don't think you're saying that about the Bucks. But my overrated pick is the Nuggets. They've slowly kind of lost some core pieces. I like their addition of Russell Westbrook, but I think their key departure is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think it's a key defensive piece, and it feels like they're kind of relying on their main two, Jokic and Murray, and then getting Michael Porter Jr. games and Aaron Gordon, but all their depth pieces are kind of dwindling away.
I like it, and I hope so.
Over to underrated. I'm going to go, I got 2 for you. One in the West, one in the East. The Memphis Grizzlies, I think they're on a lot of people's radars now that Ja Morant's back, and I kind of like their pick of Zach Edey. And then in the East, I really like the Orlando Magic. Speaking of KCP, he's over there, and they took the Cavs to 7 games last year in the playoffs, and they just seem like they have a really young, talented core. Who you got, Sonny?
I love it. I love the Magic pick. I love Paolo. I love his game. But I'm going to go for my most underrated. I'm going to go with the Cavs. I'm going to stick with Cleveland. I think it's the same core. They're young. They're growing together. They re-signed Donovan. I think Mobley can take that next step and really be that defender and rim protector. So I think they're gonna still be right there and be a hard out.
All right, Sonny. I like that. I like that Cavs pick. I'm sure those fans in Ohio here that tuning in love that pick too. They are flying under the radar. So interested to see how they do. Garland had kind of an off year, so hopefully he rebounds. He was talking about how his broken jaw really impacted him, so we'll see how he does now that he's recovered. Okay.
And they kept Donovan Mitchell. I was surprised at that.
Yeah, totally. Yep. Biggest impact move from the offseason. I wanted to do a deep cut, and before I get yours, I love the roster improvement by the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were a top seed last year, and they added Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Obviously, Hartenstein's hurt to start the season, so they're going to need to survive that. But they weren't used to having him previously, so at least they can function with the addition.
Yeah.
But I do love the pieces they added to their already really talented young core. What about you, Sonny? What's your pick for biggest impact move?
No, I love that. I think OKC is going to be, they're already the number 1 team. They got better, so I think they're going to be a tough out. But I'm going to go with my Western pick. I'm going to stick with the Mavs and that theme, and I'm going to say Frank Vogel going to the Mavs.
Oh.
He's an assistant coach with Jason Kidd, and he is specialty is defense. I think he has a lot of toys to play with Clay, with PJ, with Gafford. Najee that they signed, and Grimes and all. I think Derek Lively specifically is going to take. I really think he's going to take that next step and be a scary defensive team. Which, as we already know, with Luka and Kyrie leading the offense, we already know they can put a 150 on you. So, I think Frank Vogel is really going to lock in that defense and fine tune it and really make them take that next step on that side. And that's scary because they're already a very good team. So.
They were great, yeah. I mean, they were the Western Conference champions, so who would have thought, like, if you have a good season, to improve your roster and coaching staff is a smart move.
You sure about that?
Nuh-uh.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Speaking of not making roster moves, one thing we forgot to mention, not to keep rehashing this, but those of you folks that are asking for the Cowboys to remove Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones is so bad at his job, there isn't a viable candidate to be interim coach. There's not someone you would give a trial to. They don't have a staff in place to even pull that move. So just ask a knowledgeable Cowboys fan. It's not the right move. The time was last year when they had time and resources to put into getting a new coach after the Cowboys got embarrassed at home to the Packers. But anyway, neither here nor there. Good for the Mavs. At least one franchise in Dallas knows how to improve their roster for an already good team. Okay, let's move on to what you feeling, Sonny.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go first and then leave the floor to you. I got a few. First up is sports related. What I'm feeling is my guy, the GOAT, Vince Carter, is officially in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Anybody that knows me has known me for a long time. Sonny, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
You've known me your whole life, and I've known you your whole life, and I'm a big Vince Carter fan. So it's cool to see him. Obviously, he's going to be a first ballot guy. Nothing about him says otherwise, but cool to see someone that I revered so much get his due. And then I got to give some personal love to some of my people. One of my good friends, Kev, got inducted into our high school's Hall of Fame. It was cool. I got to be there for it, be in the old stomping grounds, and see him rightfully get inducted. Got nominated by someone and got inducted, so it was cool to see.
That's badass.
You know, my wife and I recently went on a trip with some friends and kind of had this moment where we realized what incredible friends we have who love our kids like their own. Truly, every parent who is a number one podcast listener out there knows how rare and special that is when you can have friends that you have a special relationship with treat your kids with such love. Hard to come by. It's not an expectation by any means, but it's really heartening and hits you in the feels a lot. So we had that realization with our core group of friends who were so good to our boys. And then another shout out, what I'm feeling, my wife got an award at her school. It was, I think it's kind of like the equivalent of Employee of the Month, but it's someone demonstrating the values of the school well. She was nominated by her peers. And the cool thing was that me and the boys got to surprise her at work in the morning for their little ceremony. So that was a cool moment for us.
No, I love that.
Yeah, man. What are you feeling, Sonny?
Well, yeah, just to give some more props there to Steph. Shout out to her. Shout out, sis.
Yeah.
You know, I think teachers as a whole, man, specifically, you know, that they just deserve so much more than they get. And, you know, the person you have to be and, you know, the selflessness you need to have to be a teacher is great. It's needed. And they just deserve more. So shout out Steph. Shout out all the teachers out there. If you're listening, man, we all love you. We appreciate you.
Amen.
So what I got from what I'm feeling right now, I kind of picking back up live shows, live music. Yeah. And a big reason for that right now is Hatin. For those who don't know, he's essentially a DJ, a beat maker, and he does that for all genres. It's not just any specific type. He has songs from pop, hip-hop, R&B, soul, house, electro, like everything, you know? And he kind of blends it all together. And I was lucky enough to see him with Niche, my sister. Shout out to another Bhatt here, but she took me and treated me to...
The song in that intro?
Yeah. She used the intro here. But she treated me and took me to Kitchenada, and we were in the pit. So it was just like a euphoric experience. Like I was completely sober, and just like having like the people in the crowd there were just like all as one. You saw people that, you know, they kind of felt timid and dancing or moving or whatever, and they were letting loose and kind of at least head bobbing and swaying. And and he has like just so many different types of music that he can cater to and like show to. So I just recommend, if you have a chance to see Kitchenada, do it. Just simply do it. He's like a vibe conductor, if you want to say, but it's just incredible. He's incredible. And then I got the weather change. You know what I mean? Like, it's finally fall. God bless. And Texas here, that's huge. I know you guys get all 4 seasons, so, you know, you're used to it. But down here in Texas, we don't. We have about 1.5 seasons. So we're in our fall half season right now, and it feels good. Yeah. It dropped this weekend. It was 95 last Thursday, I want to say. And now we're in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So I love it.
People wearing coats out there.
It's big boy weather, and we love to see it. So
yeah. Love that. All right, you number one podcast listeners, you know how we like to wrap up each edition of the number one podcast in your headphones, Creme Brulee. It's time for Too Much Sense, so let's hit that intro. All right, number one podcast listeners, someone out there needs to hear this. You're explaining yourself too much. Let whoever think whatever and keep it moving. Keep it pushing. Believe me when I say it's easier said than done, but have faith and freedom in your intentions and those who know and love you knowing your intentions. Sure, we do have to explain ourselves from time to time, but if you're having to explain your good intentions, or someone repeatedly fails to expect the best in you, they're telling you everything you need to know. They're not worth your time in the long run, and it's not worth your time to explain yourself. You know your intentions. Your people know your intentions. Keep it pushing and focus on the people in your life that know you for who you are. That's my Too Much Sense for this week.
I love that. Well said. Well said.
Yeah, man. So you number one podcast listeners, do not forget that Magic Mind code and link, magicmind.com/PremBrulee20 with the code PremBrulee20. Remember, I recommend it to my family, so you know I wouldn't steer my number one podcast listener fam wrong, so go and get that. You already know the deal. Like, subscribe, comment, review. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Our pain is your pleasure. This has been another edition of the number one podcast in your headphones, Creme Brulee. Our brand new edition of Football is Dead. It's here. It's here for your enjoyment. Here we are in our pain, but kind of in a cold acceptance phase, right, Sunny?
Just the stages of acceptance, right?
Yep. Sunny, thanks for joining me, man. Commiserating.
Of course, brother. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me get some stuff off my chest, and I'm sure we'll be back here soon. So, Cowboys know how to do that to us.
They sure do. All right, you number one podcast listeners, you know what to do. Share this episode when you listen to it. Pass it on to someone you know, and we'll talk to you next edition. This has been the number one podcast in your headphones, Creme Brulee, hosted by your boy, Premal Bhatt, featuring my dude, Sunny Bhatt, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Y'all really think you're going to sit here with a microphone and tell me all of the things that I've done wrong?